Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Another great episode today where we've got a successful student who's come through our proven Amazon course training and they've built a beautiful business and they're sharing their story. That's the theme around here. Most of our episodes, that's exactly what we do is we share the stories of the successful students who we've helped either through our coaching program or the proven Amazon course to build a beautiful business. Today's guest, he's been on the show a couple times before, and his business just keeps on growing. He's long had a seven-figure business. He's approaching having an eight-figure business. His team has come alongside with him on some very creative strategies they've used over the years, which we'll talk about in the episode today. And they've built a beautiful business, but it's all based around the core principles of the replens model, understanding how to read a Keepa chart, for example. That's the base foundation for all of Abe's success. He's been a speaker at our conferences a few times, and he's he's kind of moved away from the replens model done through the traditional online arbitrage, retail arbitrage model, which is still beautiful. But some of those relationships that he's established, just like we teach in the course, those relationships with the brands have led to bigger opportunities. So he's become the exclusive seller on some big brands because of his track record with those brands at a smaller level. He's built relationships very intentionally. He's had conversations. He's gone to trade shows and met some of these folks very intentionally, building out this network of connections that he has that's led him to this point to where he's beginning to diversify his business. He's not just about Amazon anymore. He's actually got some offline stuff going, some traditional business models. He talks about that a little bit as well. So this is the trajectory, the track record I love to see. I remember when Abe was a clueless newbie in our community, gaining his confidence, doing a little bit of retail arbitrage, a little bit of online arbitrage, learning the replens system, starting to build his team, caring for and working with those people over time, and then eventually to where he is now, a great respected leader and coach on our team. Speaking of which, if you want to have a conversation with us about our coaching program, we'd love to have a chat with you sometime at your convenience. You can book a calendar with us, schedule on our calendar at silentjimdotcom/book a call, all one word. Just grab a slot. If we've never talked to you before, we'd love to meet you, have a conversation with you, see which of our resources might make the most sense for you. Maybe you want to get a coach like Abe. Maybe what you're about to hear really resonates and you want Abe to be your coach. You can certainly have a conversation with us about that. We got dozens of coaches. All of them have a couple things in common. They've built a beautiful business using the strategies we teach here, and they're sustaining success at a high level. And they've got a little bit of time each week to dedicate to coaching students, and they have a teacher's heart. They love doing what they do. So if you want to talk to us about working with someone like that, give us a call, jump on our calendar. We'd love to chat with you. Well, let's jump over and spend some time with Abe. Again, I love the trajectory of his business here, but don't be intimidated by some of the big numbers. If you're new, he's throwing around some big numbers now, but he started off as a clueless newbie. And know this as well. If you scroll back in time on our show, you're going to hear dozens and dozens of recent episodes of people who went from knowing nothing to launching to having their first $100 day, their first $500 day, their first $10,000 month. Those stories, we've got so many of them. So no matter where you're at, don't be intimidated. We can help you right where you're at, even if you're new and clueless. But let's jump over and spend some time with my good friend, Abe McMahan. So Abe, welcome back. Good to see you again, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you having me back, Jim.
It's always good to see your face, man. And you got the spirit that just so resonates with me. And we talked a little offline today, but you're in this business for the right reason. You love people. You love seeing people succeed. You love building businesses. And I can't wait to dive into your story, man, and get caught up a little bit. So I'm
Yeah,
eager to hear what Abe's up to these days, man.
sounds great. And yeah, I'll just jump right in. So I think the last time we took a deep dive into my business, I mean, I did speak at the Proven, but gave more of like a motivational, I would say, kind of talk there. But the last time we kind of pulled back the curtain on everything was probably over a year ago, maybe, and maybe even a little bit more. And at that time, we were kind of going strong with our shopper structure, where we had several shoppers that helped generate income for our business. They'd go out and source products. We'd pay them on a profit sharing model. And that did very well for us for about 5 years of our business and helped us really build a solid foundation and allowed me to leave my, fire my boss, as you say, leave my full-time job and do this full time. Since then, just through a series of events, people have chosen not to shop. They kind of just faded out. Nothing. That's just kind of the way the business went. And along those same lines, I had a good friend of mine who actually was a student, became a really good friend of mine. Just really show a lot of interest in growing with us in our business, and he really wanted to specialize in wholesale. And so we got together several times and just really started to evaluate, how do we get into this wholesale business? How do we really expand it, blow it up? How do we have a really long-term vision on, like, just growing into the millions, 7, 8 figure business? And the one thing we walked away with was, and part of it was talking with Doyle. He kind of was a huge encouragement to us, and he's a big part of the silent community, and just working trade shows. And so what we took away from a conversation with him and how to expand into wholesale and using some of Rich Potter's old methods, just started to go, hey, let's go to some trade shows and see what we can do and make relationships. And, we hit the ASD, walked away with a couple toy wholesale relationships, but those weren't too uncommon for people to just go out and grab. And, I wouldn't say we walked away defeated, but was like, okay, there's got to be another way. And so as we attended a few more, the question became, what other trade shows do you go to? And we would talk to the vendors. What other trade shows do you go to? What other trade shows do you go to? And so we started to find out all these trade shows that weren't probably widely advertised. And in some cases, you need to provide some invoices to prove that you order from wholesalers already. And so, but you can get those from most anybody. Like if you did an Entertainment Earth, or you did Sheffer's, another one. They're kind of toy companies that most people know. You can provide those invoices just as easily as you can any. And so we had ordered from them in the past and started to submit those to get us access. And a lot of these trade shows are free anyway. You just needed to show that you were ready to place some decent size orders. And when I say decent, we're talking about a minimum order quantity of probably 1,500, maybe 1,000. So we're not, if you've got some experience in this business, you've been running it for probably 2 or 3 years, you're probably not afraid of making a purchase that size. Not everybody is, but I think if you've got a growth mindset, I mean, I could easily go to back in the day at a Target or even a Walmart during a Black Friday and spend easily $1,000. So It wasn't something that, we were afraid to do. And those MOQs, minimum order quantities, did not scare us. So started attending those and just started to visit the same vendors over and over and over again that initially would say, no, we're not interested in working with online sellers. And asking questions like, what would it take to get your business? What are you looking for? Why are you so opposed to Amazon sellers? What's your hesitation? And starting to slowly dissect those questions. And a lot of times it really comes down to they don't want to do business with online sellers because I might order 5 of one item and they're not looking to, do business like that.
Yeah.
So when we started demonstrating, no, we're here to make purchases. We're here to make large orders. Here's proof. And we would even bring up our Amazon account and show some of our annual sales. And when they see that you're a 7-figure seller, they're like, oh, okay, you're interested in making larger purchases. And eventually, as we got into those relationships, people started to let their guard down. And as of recently, in the last probably month or two, we've been able to land some exclusives with vendors that were telling us no the whole time. And it's really interesting. And these are household names. If you were to walk in like a Costco, a Sam's Club, or some of your major retailers, you would recognize instantly at least 2 or 3 of these names that I would share. But because I remember I used to buy these products at Kohl's when they would go on clearance when we were first firing up our business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to buy your products on clearance at Kohl's, and now I'm ordering directly from the manufacturer.
As one of just a handful of reps allowed to do so.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because, and I'll just give one example with this one particular vendor. We didn't know this, but they were putting us through a test. So Dave, who travels around to trade shows, and I comp him for his time, and he uses our company credit card to expense everything. He travels around, and they had given us an opportunity to place an order. I'm like, fantastic. So, a lot of times I think there's this assumption out there that a wholesale order is going to be, $20,000 or $50,000. Like you're in it and there's an MOQ of like 3,000 units. Well, that's a lie because it's not always the case. And so this vendor allowed us to do an initial order, and our initial order was only 5,000, and it was an open stock order. Open stock is usually products that they have laying around that aren't case packed. Maybe they've been kind of picked over a little bit. They're still in new condition, but open stock means that for whatever reason the case has been opened, still perfect condition. And so they let us do what's called an open stock order. And it's a shoe company. And usually when you order shoes, they come in runs. Like you've got to order, 1.6, 2 6.5s, 3 7s, and so forth. And they all come in a run. Well, this was again open stock. And so I'm like, well, if I've got the choice, I'm going to order the shoe sizes that I know sell good, size 7, especially in women's shoes, size 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to stick with that. That's it. So we placed a $5,000 order, and this company's a massive company, and they fulfilled it. Everything was great. And then the shoes started to sell. And so we placed a reorder for, another 5,000 because, hey, it's a replen now. Let's just reorder the same products. It's selling really great. Over the course of about 6 months, we probably spent $15,000. Not a lot of money in my mind.
To them, especially.
To them, right. And we're talking about a massive beast of a company. And, for some sellers who are just starting out, that's a large order. And I'm not suggesting that you jump right into something like that, which is why we did a test buy, which in my mind at $5,000, it's a level we're at is not a lot of money. I'm still thinking as a test buy, even now further into this wholesale game, I don't want to, commit and waste a lot of money. Our test buys just are a little bit larger because we've scaled our business, as a 7-figure approaching 8 figures in the wholesale side of it. So yeah, still on the grand scheme of things, you would say that that's a 0.01% of my business that I'm ordering and still have that replen mindset of test buy.
That's small. Yeah. Wait in slow. Yep.
Exactly. Whereas could I write a check for $100,000 truck right now? Yes. But I'm still got that wise mentality, and that is going to carry with me that I've learned from the proven systems that you teach, Jim. Let's not be foolish with our money. Let's be good stewards of it. So anyway, turns out we went back there's a big shoe show in Atlanta, and Dave went back to the shoe show. This was the second time because we've cycled it. This will be a year now. And they said, hey, they sat him down. He went to the booth. It's great to visit with people, and that's one thing Doyle kind of promotes too, is getting face-to-face human interaction is always going to go a lot longer than sending an email. Not saying sending an email is bad, but if you can get in front of people, it's really going to pay off, I think, in dividends more so than ever.
There's a 10x factor that you can measure.
100%.
What we're doing on Zoom right now is 10 times better than if we were just talking on the phone.
Right.
And if we were to meet in person, it'd be even 10 times stronger than a Zoom as far as the impact, the speed of trust, how much you can get accomplished, progress of the relationship and the business deal. Right. So yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's tangible. A lot of people say, I just want to stay home and never talk to people and just like hit buttons. I'm like, you're really limiting your ability.
Exactly.
On the phone, at least say, hey, let's hop on a Zoom. So much more powerful than,
Completely agree. And that's why the Proven Conference is so much better to attend in person if you can instead of, on Zoom. Yeah.
I would say
and
it's 100x. Watching the videos,
it's
100 times more powerful to be there in person, easily.
Oh, yeah, easily. And, and I'll get to it in a little bit, but that's where I also was able to connect with someone and also start a side franchise that I'm going to be doing here. But I'll get to that in a minute. But so anyway, sat down with them. He wanted to meet with them. Hey, how are things going? You guys happy with the progress we're making? And they sat him down, and he was shocked that this was going to happen because he was going there to place an order.
Mm-hmm.
Because they gave some pretty good show pricing, and we hadn't planned ahead. We'd looked at what they had in their catalog, and we're like, hey, because it was a pretty significant discount to place the order at the show. And so he was poised and ready, and they sat him down and they said, yeah, we're so happy you're making an order. And oh, by the way, we have some online sellers we're working with, and we're going to limit it to you only. You're going to be doing our strict online sales,
Wow.
and you're going to go exclusive with us if you're willing." And he was like, "Well, of course I would, you know."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, just curious, like, why us?" And
Yeah. You know
they
what?
said,
Before you give the answer, hold on.
"Yeah,
I
yeah,
want people to pause this here and see if they can come up with it based on what we've said so far. I know what I'm thinking I'm going to say based on what we've said so far. But I also know that we cover our businesses in prayer. I mean, that's a little secret sauce
that's
that,
right. Oh,
we don't
yeah,
talk about enough. It's like, hey, God, we talk about divine appointments all the time in our business, right?
mm-hmm.
We got to give glory to God on that one for sure. But
Amen, brother, amen."
strategically, what did that? I'm guessing they didn't say it's because you prayed for it. I'm guessing the next words out of their mouth are a powerful tip for folks. I want them to just try to think, what was it those guys said, right? Because I'm eager to hear myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
yet. I just wanted to tease this out a little bit because this is cool. Like how this is a big brand. It's not Nike, obviously, but this is a
no, no,
big
no,
shoe
no.
brand. This is like a
Yeah,
major in a lot of retailers, and they're going to be working with just you guys on
yeah,
Amazon, correct?
yeah. Correct. Yep.
Beautiful, man. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Now they are working with some other online sellers, but off Amazon
Right.
online.
You guys are their
So
Amazon exclusive now.
exclusive. Yeah. So the reason is number one, because we got to meet them and know them personally. But he
Hmm.
said number one. And number two, you said you were going to place an order, and you placed an order.
Hmm.
And I said, "Dave, they weren't like massive orders." He goes, "They didn't care. We did what we said we were going to do." And I was like,
That's it.
"Okay, that's amazing." You know, that simple like act of just doing what we said we were going to do, and committed to, hey, we're here. We want to test orders with you guys, and we're starting to do replens. They were that impressed. And so now this is what's wild. So he sits down, he places the show order, and then they say, "Oh, by the way, here's some discontinued brand or variations, or not variations, but lines that sold very well with us. And if you're willing to place a minimum order for this product, we will reproduce it for you if you like."
Wow.
So yeah,
They're making the
and
shoes that sell well for you.
yeah, exactly. They said, "Oh, here's a list, and oh, here's our top, here's our
That's
our
great.
greatest hits.
Yeah.
If you are willing to, there's a minimum order, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty decent sized order. I mean, it's
Mhm.
1,200 of each color,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm like, why would I not go back to the greatest hits
Hmm.
and be willing to? They're like, "Yeah, we'll make them for you, and you will be the only seller, aside from any inventory that lingers out there, one or two or so forth." But
Yeah, sure. The clearance,
yeah, yeah,
clearance,
yeah,
Coles, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. And one of these shoe lines that they showed us, they ran a special on QVC a few years ago, and it sold 24,000 pairs in 24 hours. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm like, why would I not? So we're working through some deals right now with them on how to revive some of the retired shoes that were very popular. And I'm sure people are asking to, I'm sure people would ask to bring those back. And so it's just really exciting to have that opportunity. And, Jim, I couldn't be happier and more blessed than to have that opportunity. So it's really exciting. And it's afforded me, as I mentioned to, in a lot of areas, to do other things and create stability in my business. And I didn't know this previously until I became an entrepreneur, that I love building businesses, love building culture, love building teams.
Yeah.
And
But you've done
so
brilliantly. We covered it
I
briefly, but
appreciate
just so
that.
people know, one of the things that you did for many years, this is what got you to the level is if someone
Hmm.
was struggling, you said, hey, just help me build my business and let's kind of do this together. And they would shop and then sharing the benefit. You're ungated in certain categories, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, an opportunity that's available to any of us if you want to take the time to care and work with others and coach them along. And I mean, I remember you even telling stories in past episodes, probably a couple of years ago where a couple extra $100 a week here and there meant a lot to these folks. And they were able to work a few hours and keep their
Yeah.
dignity and help you build this thing. They couldn't have their own account. They could do that. And you're just that kind of guy, but it was
I
always done
appreciate that.
with the lens of, let's build something significant. This isn't just a charity. It's easy to just kind
Yeah.
of pass money out to people who might need it. but the
Yeah.
relationship, the camaraderie, the discipleship, even right, and
Amen, brother.
just there's another word I'm looking for there, the accountability. The whole process. Like, we're going to do this together,
Yeah,
and you did it brilliantly, and it's a beautiful model. Again, it's open to any of us. Say,
that's
hey,
right.
here's some. I need some help with this. Let's build it together, and let's share in the benefit of it. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful way. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love that your business is here, man. I'm just kind of replaying some of those
Mhm.
2, 3, 4 year ago
Yeah. Yeah.
conversations, and how here you are getting an exclusive with a mega shoe brand. Like,
Yeah.
this is the trajectory that
Yeah.
relationships will take you.
100%. And it's about, you know, as we've alluded to, just getting in person. I think that just
Yep.
pays dividends. I mean,
Mhm.
certainly also, you got to put yourself out there
Yeah.
and say what you're willing to do, and you got to spend a little money. So, and again, it's calculated risks. We're taking no different than any replen manager or anybody that's doing the replen style is taking risks. A $20 risk is a risk, right? That might, when you're on a budget, that might be $100. It's no different. It's just scalable. The same difference to me. I'm taking a calculated risk on a large amount of shoes, but I've checked the Keepa charts. I've done all the analysis that I built the foundation with on, and everything tells me it's going to sell. So that's how I make my decisions. No different than when it was a little bit less money than it is a lot of money. It's just a tool that helps us to get to where we want to go.
Yep.
So highly, highly encourage folks to get out there and work a trade show. And I would, ASD is fun, and there's a lot of great relationships and network you can do. But there's a lot of local probably trade shows you could go to within driving distance that are typically are free, because they want you to go there and spend money, and you don't have to go in there and you can just experience it first. And so once you get confident, you'll be able to walk a trade show floor, and we're always transparent. Hey, we're online sellers. Our intent is to sell your products online. There's no attempt to deceive here. And is there any reason why you prefer not to sell on Amazon if you do? And if what are those reasons? And can we help educate you on why it's not a bad thing?
Yeah.
Is it map pricing? Is it because no one's meeting your minimum order quantity? Is it because, just help peel back the onion and figure out what are your fears and doubts, and let's see if we can work on that together.
Yeah. And everybody's got an opinion on Amazon. If you can
Yep.
separate yourself from the herd, and it's such a huge advantage. The people who are doing this, I hear over and over again, brands are approached all the time by people saying, hey, give me a really good discount so I could sell a few a week on Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
you got to separate yourself from that herd.
Yeah.
Like, what brand wants to hear from a whole bunch of people saying that over and over again? But if you start asking those questions and you say, hey, I want to help you navigate the pain that you're having with Amazon.
Right.
One of the things I like saying when I'm talking to brands is, setting aside the fact that I've been doing this and I've got a community and this is what we do, but just as a member of this community, any of us can use this, as I'm part of a community that eats, breathes, sleeps, and understands Amazon at a level that
Yeah.
no one else does. We've been doing
Right.
this longer than anyone as a community.
Yeah.
The
For
longest
sure.
running Amazon seller event, the longest running Amazon seller training course, the most
Yep.
robust coaching program. Like, this is what I do. I'm not a guy that's going to be gone tomorrow because I just need 10 units. And if it doesn't work out, I'm never going to order again. Like, this is
Sure.
what we do. Right. So you
Mm-hmm.
just establish that credibility. You've already put yourself at the front of the line. And it doesn't have to be a major shoe brand. You're going to run into
Right.
mom and pops. They're like, yeah, someone put a couple of our products on Amazon and we don't know how we feel about it. So we're kind of saying no to Amazon, but our stuff's showing up there anyway. Like,
Right.
that's a lot of brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can help them navigate that. And it's
That's
not
right.
hard to do. Right. And then you start building your arsenal. Uh,
Yep.
it's relationships, though, man. It's conversations, it's relationships,
That's right.
proving that you care. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And taking some calculated risks. I
You're right.
mean, being an entrepreneur, I believe we have to take some of those calculated risks. And if it doesn't work out, we've got to learn from it, and then what can we apply next time? And sometimes the money runs out, and that's okay. You know what? Take a step back, focus on something. Because my number one ministry in my life is my wife,
Mhm.
and I want to make sure that she is comfortable in everything I do right now. I communicate with her. We're on board together. We do a financial review of my business with her once a month, so she's very much aware of what's going on. I mean, it's all top line,
Yeah.
but it's just to make sure she stays informed on what we're doing, how our things are going. And so, if she feels uncomfortable about something, then we take a step back, reevaluate. Okay, what's your comfort level here? And she knows that there's calculated risks that we have to take too. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
great.
making sure your spouse or significant other or business partner is a part of those decisions with you is
Mhm.
huge. You have to make
Agree.
sure all parties involved are,
Yeah. After
aware.
being married 30 years, I feel like I'm finally figuring out how often my wife is right without having all the facts. Pretty incredible.
Yeah,
It just, Oscar in our community says, man, your wife, she's the voice of the Holy Spirit. You better listen to her. It doesn't matter how much
that's right.
information she's received. That's
Yeah,
irrelevant. She's got a
yeah,
bad feeling about it. You need to listen.
that's right.
And I've come to respect and appreciate that, that intuition,
That's right.
on deals and people, especially.
Amen,
I
brother.
feel like it takes me 3 years to get to know somebody. And like in 30 seconds, she can tell you everything you need to know about somebody. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But yeah, lots of stories there for sure, man. But I
Oh,
love
for
that you
sure.
brought that, yeah, you're doing this together, man.
Hmm. Yeah,
Some couples work the business and they're neck deep in it all day, every day. Others, it sounds like you're kind of like me. I'm the one doing the day to day.
yeah,
She's doing her thing, but I
yeah,
include her at those pivot points, and especially people.
right.
We're always a pivot point, bringing people in.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
he's very much involved with those things. So yeah, that's a lot of wisdom, man, especially for the dudes.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff. Well, what
And
else,
so,
man? You
yeah,
mentioned. I mean, we've given some great tips on that, and I think if
yeah,
people are like, oh, all he said was build relationships. Yeah, dude, do it. Get on the
yeah,
phone. Don't just send out 500 emails. Call people up. Ask to get on a Zoom. Be honest with them. Don't try to present yourself as something you're not. Just be straightforward and tell them
yeah.
how hard you're willing to work to win their business. That
That's
goes a
right.
really long way.
100%. Yeah. And the other thing is too, just do what you say you're going to do. If you say, "Hey, I want to place an order with your company," then make sure you do it.
Yeah.
You
If you
know,
guys hadn't followed through on one of those small orders, you guys wouldn't have followed
right? I
through.
know. It's crazy.
You had no idea what was at risk on that little $7,000
Ex-
order.
Exactly. And
There
then
you
you
are,
get to
man.
a point too where you build relationship and you can start negotiating pricing.
Yep.
And then we've done that. Hey, if I buy this much, would you be willing to knock 50 cents off a dollar a unit?
Negotiate terms. Can I get net
Yeah.
60 on this one?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, but no, what this business has afforded me is an opportunity to also expand into other territories. And as I alluded to, I love building businesses, love building teams, love building culture. So we have just placed our first, we just bought our first franchise. That's a home inspection franchise. And as I look across, we've always talked about in this community diversifying. We are business building warriors, right? So that just doesn't mean Amazon, right?
No.
It could be Walmart, it could be eBay, it could be a whole host of different. It could, certainly online, but it also can be, offline. And so, some of the things that I've gleaned from this culture is, hey, we are warriors, and hey, let's diversify. So we bought a home inspection franchise that we're going to be building up from the ground. So in some territories here in Minnesota, really excited about that, and then also have my first investment property. So, really excited about that too. So, what this online business has afforded me is the opportunity to diversify, get some truly, like, the franchise will be very active, and I'll kind of share a little bit more details about how am I, you might ask the question, well, how am I going to take myself out of my online business? And I'll share that here in a second, but looking to diversify not only non-passive businesses, but also looking at passive. So real estate's more of a passive activity, kind of looking down the road 5-10 years, owning assets, things of that nature. So doing that. But then looking at my franchise, it's going to require a big time commitment for me to help build it from the ground up. I'm certainly going to do it with a team, but how am I going to remove myself from the Amazon business? So right now we're in the process of moving some of my responsibilities to people throughout the team. Dave is going to take a larger role in this organization where he's going to be more of like an operations manager so that I can commit the time to this new franchise that I want to grow and develop. And then, yeah, so it's good for me to continue to learn other things, not forgetting I still want to keep my hands on this business, but it's like I want to grow that for the next 6 months to a year, and then hand that off to somebody else. And then, what else can we do to continue to expand just as a business building warrior? So it's really exciting to kind of look ahead, get my family involved. In fact, all three of my kids were working for me this summer. My son interned with us from college. My other son and daughter both work for me hourly. So it's just really cool to start engage the family into those types of things too. And yeah, I mean, I pinch myself every day, Jim. It's
Yeah.
amazing to see where
Yeah.
God is taking this business.
Just doing life and business
Yeah,
from a completely different mindset that so few people understand. And we talk about it like it's normal. I mean, I'm 22 years in now, so these concepts just feel normal to me.
yeah,
Multiple income streams involving your family, flexible schedule, picking up a project, automating it, putting it back down in the hands of someone who can run with it. That's not how most people live their lives, man.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, we've every episode we've got some people. This is the first episode they've ever heard, and I probably will have mentioned this in the introduction as well. You're well into this game. You've been doing it a while.
Yeah.
This isn't stuff you'd sit down day one and do, but over time, that's what you're able to do
Yes.
is these kinds of things. And
Hmm.
just live life on your own terms. And you've never had to make that decision. Do I want to be a good provider or do I want to be a good husband? And like, just, do I want to be available or do I want to earn an income? Like, no, we're going to do them all together.
Yeah.
We're going to have quality time and quantity time. We're going to do
That's
it
right.
that right.
Yeah.
We're not going to vanish so we can go earn an income. And it's just such a blessing, man, to be in a community of other people. Not everybody necessarily is doing it at this level. Some people are earlier in their stages of growth, but to be able
Sure.
to look back and for me, it's one of the more rewarding parts of my life. Here I am. My kids are moving out and getting married, and I got a grandkid now. And just like we did those last 20 years, it was an adventure, dude. But it was just so beautiful. We did it together, and we made
Yeah.
it.
That's right.
Multiple income streams and serving and building community and building teams and launching projects with the kids right there. That's just such a great way to do family. So maybe some of the newer, younger folks, I want to talk to some of the people who are younger in e-commerce. Like you could
Yeah.
be 70 years old and you're young in e-commerce. Like let's talk to some of them and do some encouraging because this may have felt like, whoa, this guy's approaching did you say 8-figure business? Like, man, I don't know about that. Like, let's talk to the new folks a little bit as we start to wrap this one up, man. And just give me your perspective. Like, what does the opportunity look like? What's the reality of the situation right now? What are you seeing? You're one of the great coaches on our team as well, so you
Thank
have
you.
very real conversations with people all the time.
Yeah, what I would say is always be open to networking, and I still ask the question all the time anytime I meet a business owner, "Hey, how can I help your business?" It's something I've never stopped asking,
Hmm.
and it's questions we ask these big vendors that we meet at the trade show, and it's people that I meet that are first time. Like I worked. Here's an interesting story. So I used some lawyer services to kind of structure some of my new business entities,
Hmm.
and one of the folks that was an admin on the team, he was a young man that was kind of like intrigued by this e-commerce business. And I said, "Hey, schedule some time with me when you're not on the clock. I'll pull back the curtain and show you everything I've done." And so we've turned him on to Silent Sales Machine. You know, this is where you learn it. So he saw that this was such a successful business entity that he wanted to dive into it. And now I'm helping shorten that on ramp so that he can have a few tips and tricks on how to grow his business without making the same mistakes I did. So I guess, speaking to the new folks is, just willing to learn, willing to work hard, ask other people that question, how can I help your business? And you will be shocked at how many people you'll build relationships as we alluded to earlier in the conversation, and those relationships will come back and help you out and pay it forward, take more or offer more in value than you ever take in pay. I'm always willing to share my knowledge and information with people free of charge. I mean, I want you to grow too. So there's no strings attached. There's no, hey, well, what's in it for me kind of philosophy. I've never had that approach. And so I would say just, be open with what you know, share it with a bunch of people. And I guarantee you it'll come back to you in spades. It'll come back tenfold, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And people are sometimes amazed. That's been our part of our business philosophy is open-handed abundance mindset.
Yes.
We share what we know, and we've done it up until the past few months. We started doing some paid advertising, but for over 21 years, we didn't run a single paid ad anywhere.
Wow.
We just served. And people said, "Yeah, those are the guys." Like kind of like the story you just told. Yeah, I got this young man who's interested. Yeah, I sent him to the podcast, gave him a copy of your book. Sent him to the
Yeah.
Facebook group, whatever. It's word of mouth, man. Because when you truly serve and you're making an impact in others' lives through that service, it's going to flow back. It's inevitable.
That's right. Right.
And it surprised me the times where life's kind of knocked me out of the picture for a few weeks or a couple months, even a time. And I come back and I'm like, regain my footing and look around and it's grown.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
It's because reputation has momentum.
That's right.
And the word spreads, and there's people joining our group today because they heard about us 3 months ago and they investigated and now they're ready to go, right? And just like that
Yeah.
rolling ball of momentum, and it all comes from that abundance and, like you said, servant minded, not caring if it ever comes back or not. I'm going to help. And what
Yeah.
we have had to do is monetize so we know who's serious and who isn't. Because if I went to lunch with everybody who wants to pick my brain, all I do is eat lunch 4 times a day every day of the week, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And only 1 out of 10 or so actually ever does anything with it. So how
Yeah.
you know someone's serious? They're willing to put a little skin in the game,
That's right.
and that wakes up something inside of them as well. Like I need to take
Yeah.
this serious, right? So that's why we charge a few bucks, pay the team, and that's our model here. But yeah, resonate with everything you're saying, man, and you're doing it. This isn't just theory. Here you are. You're doing
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes hard work.
it.
You
Does.
have to, there are going to be times when you have to work late into the night and,
Mhm.
and if you're willing to put in the effort, I guarantee it'll pay off.
Yeah,
There's no question in my mind.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Opportunities too expansive.
absolutely. And in our case, like what we talked about before, to circle back to the shopper thing, we had people that really wanted to work hard, maybe didn't have the finances to do so, but we recognized their work ethic and said, "Hey, well, why don't you come work for us
Hmm.
and go shopping for us?" And we've talked a lot about on past podcasts, but that helped a lot of people out, helped them get out of debt, helped them really kind of see if Amazon was really for them, and some people went on to have great successful businesses from here. So, and great, we're happy for them, you know. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah,
You've done a great job, man. You've built quite a legacy and a reputation, and I love having you as a leader in our community. And I think something for the newer folks to kind of sit back and think about for a moment is the work that goes into having a community of leaders, the quality of this guy, Abe. Like we
mm,
got a bunch of people like this, abundance minded, servant hearted, teacher's heart, successful in their business, reinforcing principles every bit as much as strategies. And that's something you hear a lot around here is principles. I think that's how you know you're maturing when you're
mm,
more about the principles than you are the strategies. You're maturing as an entrepreneur. When I'd rather hear what the principles are that are driving you than like, hey, what strategy, what website, what tool?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. When you're new, all right, I get it. You want those things. The
yeah,
principles are what help you last. For example, relationships are at the top of the list. That's a principle. Like we're
yeah,
not going to
paramount.
burn anybody ever. We'll stick to our word when we say it. We're going to intentionally pursue real relationships. So even if a business deal goes bad, we still got a friend, right?
That's
Like we
right.
treat people well. Like that's a principle. And
Yeah,
those actually put more money in the bank than the strategies do. But it takes you a while to figure that out.
yeah, yeah.
As an entrepreneur.
And just a quick story about that too. There's a guy that I got into business with as we kind of got more into business. Ethically, we didn't see eye to eye on certain things, but I said, "Hey, listen, I appreciate what you have built in your life. So, would you mind if I gave you a call once a month for 30 minutes and just picked your brain?"
Hmm.
And he said, "Absolutely." And that, I know he loves it when I call him. And it was hugely important to me when I bought some investment property because he's kind of a real estate tycoon. And
Right?
I called him when I was about to buy the property. I'm like, "What am I missing here?" He's like, "There's two things you're missing right now." And that saved my butt.
That's a big,
And
yeah.
oh yeah. And that's exactly why, to your point, Jim, I never want to burn a bridge. We couldn't work together, with financially because just some things he did differently than me, but he's still a wealth of information, so that was huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Knowing who to call, building that network.
that's right.
Yeah. Or as our friend Rabbi Daniel Lappin talks about the 3 a.m. list, all the people that pick up the phone if you call them at 3 in the morning and say, "What do you
That's
need? I'm
right.
here to help?" Like the bigger that list is, better off you are in life, man. You
Yeah.
always got a way to pivot if you've got a big list of people who love, trust, respect you. And that's really what business is all about. Yeah. Man,
But,
good hanging out with you. Really
yeah,
appreciate
you
you.
too. You too.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I appreciate your kind words. You're too kind, brother.
You've more than earned it, man. I'm humbled every day by the quality of the people that I get to surround myself with in this
Amen,
community.
brother. Praise
The
God.
friendships, relationships that just, people who are doing life the right way, encouraging, inspiring others. And what a great way to make a living.
Right on.
Serving and caring, man. I think God was pretty smart the way he set this thing up. People who serve well end up, doing well in business.
That's right.
Pretty cool
Amen
model.
to that.
Pretty
Amen to
cool.
that.
Well, I'm going to wrap this one up, man. It's been great
Yeah,
hanging with
sounds
you.
great.
For the listeners who came along on this great conversation today, I know Abe and I had a good time. I hope you did too. One thing I do want to point out is, Abe is one of our more advanced students. He's been at this a while. He's built a beautiful business. He remembers very well those humble days, though, of struggling to get things started around here. And if that's where you're at, we've got resources for you. If you're brand new, we'd love to help you out. Clueless newbies welcome around here. Proven Amazon course is where you need to go. That course will mature with you over time. Lots of advanced strategies in there. We got all kinds of great coaching offers for you as well. If you want to talk to us, maybe a good way to end this episode today is, hey, hop on the phone with us, schedule a call. I take some of those calls. Some of our consultants on our team take those calls, but you can schedule at silentjimdotcom/book a call, all one word. Let's hop on the phone for half an hour, see if which of our tools and resources make sense for you. And we'd love to meet you in person at some point too. We've got our annual conference. The next one's in May of 2025. Get over to theprovenconference.com and get details on that. Hopefully Abe will be there too, speaking on
I
some
will.
topic, man.
I will.
He was there last time and did a great job, and a great leader again. But Abe, God bless you, man. Good to see you, my friend.
All right. Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And to all the listeners, the business building warriors out there, we're in your corner. We're praying for you. We are here to help you. If we possibly can, let us know. Reach out. Jump into our Facebook group. Jump into some of the older podcast episodes if you're new, and hear some of those great stories. We got hundreds of success story interviews at this point. Listen to a few and then look us up. We'll have another good episode for you real soon. Talk to you then.